Hey guys, how's it going? This is Richard, and welcome to my first podcast. This is quite it's weird, right? Because I'm talking to myself like I normally do from time to time, but I'm also talking in a setting that there's no audience. It's just me, and I guess in some ways it is a good outlet for me to I guess express myself. I guess put myself out there. So that way, other people know that they're not alone in situations, I guess. Um, you know, I know, like me personally. Um, you know what? Before I even get into that, let me go ahead and get into my background. That way, you guys have a general idea of who or what I am. First off, hello, my name is Richard. Um, I am originally from New York. I am a Puerto Rican Italian, 33 as of the time of this recording. Um, been through some heavy shit. Most people may not think so, but I've been through some heavy shit. Um, I am the oldest of six. My mom, at the time, not now anyways, but at the time, she was a single mother, raising a very, very hard headed Puerto Rican kid growing up. And then my sister came along, who I guess is more stubborn than I am. And then again, most females are, around their age. They normally tend to uh, be a lot more stubborn than the males, I guess. Um, so yeah, so there's that. And then we currently have little kids. Not me personally, but my mom has a total of six, as I mentioned before. But um, yeah, now she's happily married and going. God, I lost count of how many years she's been married, but a lot longer than I was. That's for sure. I was married 10 years, and then it went down the shithole. Now, granted, I was not the perfect person, and I guess no marriage is perfect, right? No matter what the circumstances are, no matter what the situation is, no marriage is perfect. There's always going to be those ups and downs. There's always going to be those battles. But at the end of the day, your partner will always be there, right? So that's how it was the first few years, right? And then, you know, my ex-wife, who I will not mention, but my ex-wife had gastric bypass surgery and decided to say, "Hey, I'm going to cheat on you with somebody else." Now granted, she didn't tell me that directly until I found out later on. So, um, so yeah, story behind that. Um, like I said, married 10 years, and she had gastric bypass surgery because, the doctor decided to scare her and say, "Hey, if you don't lose the weight, you'll have to get surgery." Now, after she got surgery and she literally emptied out her whole closet because she was rapidly losing weight, um, she thought it was nice to pursue someone else. I guess would be the right term. Um, and it's and I know my tone just changed because it's one of those topics that personally I don't like talking about because it's still like an emotional setback. But that's what this podcast is for, right? Is to let it out, to let people know that they're not alone, right? So yeah, so it so I remember this like if it was yesterday. So I noticed something was wrong with her. So I was sitting. I couldn't sleep. I had just gone off of work, and I was tossing and turning majority of the night, and I remember vividly her going to the restroom, and I flicked on the bedroom light, and and mind you, by the way, guys, she was older than me. She was at least 10 years older than me. But I remember turning on the light, and Hey, what's going on? You're acting a little weird. And she's like, nothing, Richard. It's fine. Nothing. Don't worry about it. I said, no, no, no. Tell me what's going on. Um, and she's like, nothing. Today's our anniversary. Everything is fine. I said, okay. Normally, she will give me a kiss before she leaves. And that night, or that morning, I should say, she didn't. She just walked out of the house, grabbed her stuff, and, left like a bat out of hell. So we go to dinner. I don't hold Olive Garden to this because it's not their fault, but it is what it is. So we go to Olive Garden that night, and it's the whole family minus my side of the family, but mainly her friends and her family and her kid. And she we get on with the appetizers and whatever, start getting our main course, and she turns to me. Now, mind you, it's a long length table. I have her stepdad on the right side. I have her on the left side. And she's like, she turns to me. She's like, hey, Rich, there is something I actually need to tell you. Something I need to tell you. And I said, okay, what's up? And she's like, we're getting a divorce. And I'm like, really? She's like, yeah. And she's like, to top it all off, my new boyfriend is on his way over to see me. Mind you, we are about to have dinner, and we are at Olive Garden. Let's set the scene here. Olive Garden, dinner. Her whole family's there, right? So her dad looks at me. I kind of look at him like, what the actual fuck? Like, what the fuck's going on, right? And he's more stunned than I am, because me and him we started off, me and her dad started off not liking each other, right? Because we had two completely different values. But he learned to live with me, like learned to live with, the person that I am. And I learned to, accept who he was. And we went on a couple of trips together fishing. So he, we leave. And at that point, like, if you've ever had your heart broken, right, and it just sinks to the bottom pits of your stomach, that's the feeling that I got, really. It wasn't too, how do I say this? It wasn't what I expected, right? It wasn't it was even trying to word it is tough. Getting that news, and especially on an anniversary, right? Getting that news and trying to figure out, why? Like, why the fuck did that happen? Right? So if you've ever been in that position, you're not the only one. So we go outside, and then there's this motorcycle that comes, coming through the parking lot, and the guy just makes eye contact. And right away, I had this butterfly gut feeling that, okay, well, this has to be the guy that, she's with. Well, he gets off the bike and takes off his helmet, and me and her dad are just sitting in front, smoking a cigarette. And he's like, so, you must be the ex-husband. And in my head, I'm thinking, you must be the guy that I'm going to beat his fucking ass. And flat out, that's what I thought in my head. And I just looked at him. I didn't say a fucking word. I just looked at him. I'm thinking to myself, this motherfucker, right? But then it kind of explains a little bit, because, okay, So our anniversary was in March, right? Um, Rewind a little bit to February because she had her surgery in January. So February, I had Valentine's dinner by myself, right? I was my own Valentine's Day. Now, her line of work does, deal with a lot of traveling, but she always makes it home. That night on Valentine's, she did not make it home, right? Um, and bear with me as I'm parched a little bit, so hold on. So, um, so she called me and she's like, "Hey, I'm not coming home for Valentine's dinner. I apologize. I'll make it up to you." I didn't want to make assumptions then, right? But fast forward to now, or to the incident, she came out there and she's like, I'm like, "How long has this been going on?" And she's like, "It's been a while." She's like, "At least a few months." And it hurts because, like, here's someone that you've devoted their life to, right? You understood the factor that they couldn't bear any more kids. So you at least try to help raise the one that's already there, right? Now, her son, right now, damaged, right? Because he's doing like 50,000 fucking drugs, right? And I don't consider marijuana a drug. Anybody can fight me on that one. I don't consider marijuana a drug. I do think in the wrong dosage, or I shouldn't say in the wrong dosage, but like to the wrong person, it could start something bad, right? Everybody handles it differently. That's all I'm going to say on that one. But he was taking everything under the sun. We found meth pipes. We found methamphetamines. We found pills. Like, and as a parent, right, or as a step figure to a now after teen, right? I'm trying to think of ideas. Like, my brain is like, what would my mom do? First thing that came to mind was my mom, if she ever knew that I did something like that, she would beat my fucking ass. Like, beat it to a fucking pulp. But I was like, we need to get him some help, right? And of course that never happened because he was always out and about, never coming home. But I knew when he was fucked up because we would always get into like verbal arguments. Well, I ended up leaving, right? He had no idea what was going on. So he's like, "Dude, where are you going?" And I sat him down and I'm just like, "Look, did you know that your mom was cheating on me?" And he's like, "No, dude." He's like, "What the fuck happened?" Because he didn't go to that dinner that night. So while they're still at the restaurant, her and her new thing, everybody else had left her. So it's just him and her. Her dad gave me a ride home, and I'm sitting talking with the kid, and I'm just like, "Look, I gotta go. It's time for me to go." And I'd never forget my coworkers because I was supposed to work that night, and my coworkers, they're like, "Hey, you clocking in tonight?" And I'm like, "Nah." I said, "I'm actually turning in my keys and my badge, and I'm going home." So, so I get a hold of by then I went on Hopper, by the way, and bought my ticket, which surprisingly was $69. Pretty fucking amazing deal for a last minute ticket, right? And I spent my paycheck to go to Florida. And till this day, it still hurts. I mean, truthfully, it really does. Just the pain and the, like, how fucking messed up is that? Like, I mean, thinking about it now, right? Like, you spend 10 years of your fucking life with this person, and they just go off and do this, just out of the fucking blue, right? So, of course, me and her haven't spoken, right? And that's fine. Um, and so I pack up my stuff. I go to Florida. The kid, for the first time in years, like, was actually so sober and was just in tears. I'm not gonna tear up. I'm gonna try not to. But the kid told me when I left, he's like, yeah, he's like, you never gave up on me. He's like, I'm gonna miss you. He's like, you meant something. I said, yeah. He's like, yeah, we've had it out. We've fought. We've argued. He's like, but I'm gonna fucking miss you, man. And walking out that door, getting onto that truck, and leaving was probably the most difficult thing in my life to do. Because I didn't know what else to do. I mean, at that point, like, what do you do? Like, do you fix it? Do you, like, what do you do? I guess there's no fixing that, right? So I go home. And, through that whole flight, now mind you, I got like someone's canceled reservation, right? Which that's what Hopper is. Anybody that has a canceled flight ticket, it gets recycled into another system. Anyways, so I pick up that flight and I get to the airport. Mind you, I stayed 2 days in a hotel before I actually got onto the flight. So I get into the flight and I'm just sitting there at the airport and I'm pinching myself because I really don't want this to be true. I really didn't want this to be, I didn't want it to be my legacy, but the only thing that I can think of, right, was when me and her went to see my grandfather before he had passed. And this is probably going to be where I tear up. My grandfather, both my mom and my grandfather, told me that they had a very bad feeling about her. And I didn't listen. And it's because I wanted to stick up for what I believed in. Now, in hindsight, looking back now, yeah, they're right. She may have not been the one for me, but I didn't want to see that because I am that good of a guy that I wanted to show everyone wrong. Where people would say, hey, this is, this is not going to work. And me and my grandfather sat in the house and we talked. And he looked at their body language, and he's one of those guys that he likes to dissect people without people even knowing. And my grandfather was my hero. He was the dad figure that I never had. He actually taught me a lot growing up. Now, being Puerto Rican Italian, that is a grandfather's job. Is if there's no dad figure, they kind of like step in and show you the ropes. So show you what they learned in their illustrious years of living. But anyways, I digress. I think the only one thing I can say positive was, and this I'm rewinding a little bit to like a year or two before we split. Me and her got into an argument, and I had left my friend's house, and I shut off my phone Because, when you get into a heated argument, you just don't want to hear anybody. You don't want to talk to anybody. You just want to shut up, right? So my phone, I shut off my phone. And I'm hanging out with my guy friends, and we're hanging out having drinks. And then I wake up, I turn my phone back on, and text messages and voicemails and, hey, where are you? And all that from everyone was to tell me that my grandfather had passed. And mind you, the last time I spoke to him was on the phone, telling him what happened, which is where he says, I told you so. And then the next day, he passes. And the first person that was there was the ex-wife. Mind you, we were still married then, but she was the first person. She came and picked me up, and the first thing she did was apologize for arguing with me. Now, with that said, we fast forward back to the whole incident. So I fly back to Florida, and I'm weeping. Like, I am like crying because I can't believe this has happened. I am in disbelief. And I don't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. So the first thing I did was make a TikTok. That's the first thing I fucking did. And looking at my video, like, on my old account, not in the one that we have now, but on my old account, looking at it now, it's really sad. Like, you can see the pain and the anger in my eyes. But I have to say, though, I've made great friends, and I've had great relationships. Wonderful relationships that I wished had never ended. And right now, at this very moment, I have great people to back me up in my personal life and my professional. And yes, the moral of the story is, you will have obstacles. You will have something in your life. You will have a wrench thrown into your life. But you pick up that wrench, and what you do with it is up to you. You can make it better, or you can make it worse. The choice is up to you. Is there times that I wish I could, change a few things? Of course. Every day is like that. So, that's a little bit of a history lesson there about me. And, if you guys want to talk, if this helps you, which I hope it does, but if this helps you, let me know. If you have any advice or anything you want to add, if you want to leave me a voice message on Anchored, which we'll play a commercial here in a little bit, because I want to try to make this 30-minute long podcast. If I can make an hour long, I'll do it. But let me know what you guys want to hear. If you guys want a couple of war stories, I got a few of those hanging on. I will be streaming on Twitch, twitch.tv/Firefox Army, ARMYZ. And I'll try to get my link tree in there, if possible. But I just want to say thank you. Thank each and every one of you for just allowing me to be in your ears, on your phone, on your computer, just being here in general. It means a lot to me. And actually being able to tell my story. on this first installment of my podcast. It's for some people it'll probably be therapeutic. You won't know unless you try, right? And I'm not gonna go all religious because like there's so much shit going on in this world that the last thing you need me to say is, may God be with you, but and whatever you believe in, just know that they are there, even if it's a relative that has passed on. Like I know my grandfather's always watching me, and just know that you always have an angel looking over your shoulder. That there's always that one friend that's always willing to help you. That's always willing to say, you know what? I got your back. I have your six. You're not alone, so don't feel that way. And to those that have been close to me or that have gotten to know me, that are a part of my life, who I love ever so much, thank you. I love you. And you guys know who you guys are. And to my little mini family, I love you guys too. You guys are the best part of my life. So, enough with this jibber jabber. I'm going to go ahead and cut into my commercial. And then I'm going to give you my final thoughts on how to reach me, where to reach me. And yeah, be right back. Enjoy this commercial break. And now for my final thought. There's going to be people out there that are going to tell you, you can't do this. They're going to tell you no every single fucking day of your life. And you just got to think to yourself, are they right? Can I not do it? Before you even answer that question, I want you to think to yourself, how many times have people told you no? How many times have people told you it's impossible and yet you prove them wrong? Think about that for a minute. Let that sink in just a little bit. Don't tell yourself you can't do it. Try it. Do it. Push yourself. Prove to them motherfuckers that you can do this. That you got this. And then see what the outcome is, good or bad. My name is Richard, and this has been the first episode of my podcast called The Beginnings. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a message on Anchored. And I hope you guys enjoy this everywhere else. I hope you guys stay true to yourself. And don't change who you are for somebody else. I'll see you around.